After a while, because of the great exhaustion, I and Ancient Ape were as tired as dogs, panting heavily with our tongues out. Damn it, are these guys sick in the head? They've been chasing us for blocks. When will they stop? This is too much bullying. Thinking less of me because I'm short-handed right now, right? Wait until I collect all the monsters on Abyss Island. We'll come back and beat you all to death. Just then, Ancient Ape shouted, not good. Just ahead, another group of Stegosaurs appeared, trying to block our path. Damn, which batch is this now? Daring to block my way. My children, blow them to death. With several booming explosions, the group of Stegosaurs was instantly wiped out. In keeping with the principle of not wasting a single bit of food, I casually threw the Stegosaurs to Little Kun for storage. At this point, Ancient Ape turned and looked at the herd behind us. Why don't we turn around and fight them now? Fight what exactly? You see how many of them there are? A spit from each of them could drown us both. What's there to be afraid of? You can turn into that red form from before. Can't you just solve them in minutes? Using Magma form consumes a huge amount of energy, and I just used it recently. I can't use it again now. We better keep running. But if we keep running like this, when will it end? If there's no way forward, we're really in trouble. Just as she finished speaking, I immediately slam on the brakes. We found ourselves at a cliff with no road ahead. From this height, a fall would mean serious injury, if not death. I tell you, Ape Sister, you really have a way of jinxing us, saying it and making it happen. Well, I was just saying, Ancient Ape said with an awkward laugh. At that moment, I looked down below the cliff and suddenly noticed a red palace to our left. While I pondered why there would be a palace in this secret realm, the giant beasts also stopped a few meters away from us. Ancient Ape suddenly called out to me, pointing at the beasts behind us, which began to tremble as if fearing something. Just then, a roar came from the palace below the cliff. Hearing this, the secret realm beasts became even more panicked and turned around, fleeing in haste. Whatever's in that red palace that can scare these beasts like that? What could it be? Judging by the roar just now, it must be a very powerful beast. Just then, Little Kun appeared with a device, indicating that the direction towards the red palace had a very high concentration of secret realm energy, suggesting that it was the source of the energy for the entire realm. Hearing this, I realized that's the source of the secret realm energy, and the roar we just heard must have come from the guardian beast protecting it. Worried that the beasts hadn't gone far, Ancient Ape and I decided to take a detour and look for another path down the cliff. After a while, Ancient Ape and I successfully arrived in front of the red palace. Ape Sister, be careful. This red palace feels very dangerous to me. Let's observe from a distance first. As soon as I finished speaking, a roar came from above. What is that? Is it a ghost? A 100-meter-long Tapejara was rapidly flying towards us. Another 100-meter level giant beast. What does it want? Just as I finished speaking, the Tapejara dived towards the red palace. So it's after the secret realm energy. The shadow burst out of the forest, bounced on the ground, and with a swoosh, it flew towards the Tapejara. Seeing this, the Tapejara was drenched in cold sweat. In just a moment, the shadow had used Spinning Slash to confront it. With several loud bangs, the 100-meter-long Tapejara was instantly sliced into countless pieces. Seeing this, Ancient Ape and I couldn't help but exclaim, holy crap, what kind of spinning monster is this? A 100-meter giant beast was instantly annihilated. At that moment, the spinning creature noticed me and Ancient Ape didn't expect to find two little bugs spying. Damn, we've been spotted. It can talk. Ape Sister, run. We're no match for this thing. As soon as I finished speaking, the spinning creature started to rotate rapidly on the spot. Think you can run after invading my territory? Those who trespass must die. With that, it chased after me and Ancient Ape. Seeing this, I quickly turned back and shouted to Ancient Ape, run, Ape Sister. I'll hold it off. After shouting, I fired my strongest mouth cannon, Burst Breath. However, as soon as the Burst Breath made contact with the spinning creature, it was deflected back into the sky of the secret realm, utterly ineffective. It can deflect Burst Breath? How strong is this guy? While I was complaining, the spinning creature used Spinning Slash to attack me. I quickly spit out several explosive bombs at it. Come on, try to deflect these too. When the explosive bombs were deflected back, I quickly snapped my fingers to detonate them. After several loud explosions, the spinning creature was engulfed in smoke, and it was unclear whether it was dead or alive. As Ancient Ape and I paused to look towards the area, the next second, the spinning creature appeared unscathed. Damn it, run! Before I could react, it suddenly accelerated and appeared in front of me, hitting me with its Spinning Slash. Instantly, a horrific wound pierced through my entire body. Seeing this, Ancient Ape rushed to support me, looking worried. Dragon brother, are you okay? Ape Sister, keep running. Don't stop. I urged her to leave as I endured the pain. Ancient Ape quickly helped me to run away, but the spinning creature relentlessly pursued us. However, just as we passed some rune-covered stone pillars, the spinning creature was unexpectedly blocked by an invisible wall within the pillars. I looked back and saw this scene, breathing a sigh of relief. It seems this creature cannot move beyond the range of the pillars. This is probably its duty as a guardian, confined to operate within the Red Palace's bounds and unable to leave. At that moment, Ancient Ape, looking at the wound on my body, expressed her concern. Dragon brother, you're seriously injured. Are you really okay? I'm okay. Luckily, I reacted quickly and stepped back. Otherwise, that creature would have split me in half. That thing was terrifying. Let's leave this place and meet up with Wolf Brother and the others. However, just as my blood dripped outside the barrier, a terrifying energy suddenly burst from within the Red Palace. At the same time, the spinning creature became visibly excited. I didn't expect her essence in that guy's blood. Ha ha, with this blood, I can break my bonds. Minions, rise up, gather here. Hearing the spinning creature's summons, soon after, a large number of tapajaras rushed towards the palace. Minions, brace yourselves, it's hunting time. Meanwhile, at the entrance of the secret realm, a large number of creatures from the Abyss Island had gathered. Different species eyed each other with disdain. At that moment, the keen-eyed little Tangerine pointed at the entrance, excitedly shouting, "Stop fighting, Dragon Brother and Ape Sister are back." Seeing Wolverine and little Tangerine there, I smiled and waved to them. The creatures of the Abyss Island, seeing me, immediately prostrated themselves on the ground, shouting, "All hail the king." I looked around and asked with some confusion, "A good number of Abyss Island's creatures have arrived, but why don't I see any herbivores?" Wolverine glanced at me as if I were an idiot. With so many carnivorous giants gathering, which herbivorous giant would dare to come? Hearing this, I awkwardly replied, "That makes sense. The secret realm is quite dangerous. Let's clear the threats around the exit first, then bring them over." At that moment, Wolverine noticed my wound and asked with concern, "You're injured? And it looks pretty bad. It seems you've encountered a formidable opponent in the secret realm." Wolverine looked at my wound and became serious, so I roughly explained the encounter with the spinning creature. With my current strength, I'm no match for that bizarre creature. After hearing this, Wolverine immediately became anxious. "Even you can't beat it? Is its strength greater than that of the king of the dead rotten reptiles? If so, wouldn't going in there now be suicide?" "It's okay. That creature seems to be confined by some kind of restriction and can't leave that area. Otherwise, Ape's sister and I would have been finished already. As long as we don't enter its territory, we'll be safe." After explaining, I turned to the creatures of Abyss Island and said, "Come on, brothers, it's time to eat." With that, I had little Kun pour out all the food from the storage space. "Eat up, everyone. Only when the secret realm energy inside you reaches a certain level can you pass through the barrier into the secret realm." Seeing so much free food, the creatures of Abyss Island's eyes lit up, and they excitedly said, "The two great kings are so mighty, bringing back so much prey. Long live the great kings." Just then, the Tyrannosaurus Rex's massive body fell heavily, shocking the creatures. Although its head and shoulders were gone, its body was still massive, at least 100 meters long. "Great Ape King and Dragon King, you're too powerful, even killing a 100-meter giant beast." Ancient Ape pointed at me and laughed. This 100-meter giant beast was killed by Dragon Brother. Ancient Ape was being modest. "Without your help, I couldn't have killed it." Then, with my command, the creatures rushed forward to feast eagerly. They started gnawing at the secret realm creatures. "That thigh meat is mine. Don't fight me for this chicken butt." At that moment, Wolverine looked at the Tyrannosaurus Rex's corpse and asked, "This guy looks a lot like you. Could he be your distant relative? Where do you see any resemblance?" I asked, perplexed. "And why are you still standing here? Hurry up, change back to your giant wolf form and go eat too." Hearing this, Wolverine guiltily admitted, "Look at those guys eating manners. It's simply appetite killing. That's rich coming from you. I bet you're used to cooked food and can't handle raw anymore. If you want barbecue, go make it yourself. By the way, where's Bird's sister and her subordinates?" She sent out all her flying subordinates to search for monsters willing to come to the secret realm. After all, Abyss Island is too large, and flying in the air is faster. Additionally, she went to Sage Snow Mountain herself to ask Lord Baz and her subordinates if they would like to come to the secret realm. That makes sense. That arrogant creature is actually reliable when it matters, and thinks more thoroughly than I do. After a while, the food was mostly eaten by the monsters of Abyss Island, leaving them with round bellies. Seeing this, I quickly called them to try to pass through the barrier. Just like that, many monsters gathered enough energy to pass through the barrier, but they couldn't climb up a straight pit ahead, still needing Deathlark's subordinates to fly them up. Thinking about going back in to hunt for food, I immediately spoke irritably to Wolverine and the others. "Wolf Brother, Little Tangerine, and the Ice Wolf Leader, get ready to move. Don't dawdle. Hurry up and go eat." Seeing that they couldn't get any cooked food, Wolverine then transformed into a giant wolf form and called Little Tangerine and the others to eat. A few days later, Deathlark's subordinates finally arrived. To keep these guys from starving, Ancient Ape, Wolverine, and I had entered and exited the secret realm 5 times to hunt prey. Thinking of this, I irritably shouted at Deathlark's subordinates, "Hurry up and eat quickly. Fill up so you can work. Get these foodies up there to hunt for themselves. I'm not your nanny. Why should I nurse you?" With that, I led my mighty subordinates back into the secret realm. "Little brats of the secret realm, your brother and his pals are here to stir up trouble." Soon, under my leadership, a large number of Abyss Island monsters entered the secret realm. Seeing the vast and red terrain in front of them, all the Abyss Island monsters were filled with disbelief. Even Wolverine, who had seen much of the world, couldn't help but marvel. Who would have thought that beneath Abyss Island lies such a strange world? At this time, Little Tangerine asked, "Dragon Brother, is this going to be our new territory? Since the entrance is beneath Abyss Island, this of course is our territory. But first, we have to beat down those bullying neighbors with our claws and fangs." Saying this, I crouched down and began drawing on the ground. "Wolf Brother, before Bird's sister arrives, close. Let's plan the next few days. This pit is our entrance and also our escape route, so we must guard it strictly. Then, we'll use this as a base to explore outward and eliminate threats on the perimeter. With the current number of our monsters, we can split into 2 groups. Wolf Brother and Ape Sister will each lead one group to start exploring outward. Remember, the monsters of Abyss Island must stay united, without divisions of race and territory. Only by taking this place can everyone find their suitable territory. Listening to my analysis, Wolverine felt a wave of admiration. Is this the wisdom of humanity? If it were just the monsters of Abyss Island, maybe they would have started fighting over the new territory before even beginning to explore. Only Lin Shen could unite all the monsters of Abyss Island. At this moment, I marked a spot and then said, this palace is where that spinning shadow monster's territory is located. We are not his match yet. Remember to avoid it. Also, if you encounter a 100-meter tall giant, don't engage in battle. Run back here if you can't win. After saying that, I turned to Wolverine and asked, Wolf Brother, since you entered, have you felt the uniqueness of the secret realm? Hearing this, Wolverine clenched his fist and said, as soon as I entered the secret realm, I felt its energy constantly flowing into my body, making me gradually stronger. That's right, it won't be long before our strength improves dramatically. By then, neither the spinning shadow monster nor the Nether Palace will be our match. Wolverine is puzzled and asked, then why not let the pterosaurs join in? With eyes in the sky, it would be easier to spot enemies and relay messages. Currently, there are too few pterosaurs, and they easily attract the attention of other giant beasts in the secret realm. Once Bird Sister returns with all her subordinates, we'll then expand our air support. Hearing this, Wolverine stretched and said, then I'll take the spiny jackals and werewolves to form one team, and the rest of the giant beasts can follow Ape Sister. I want to see how much the beasts of the secret realm can withstand my blades. Hearing this, Ancient Ape also roared, showing no weakness. I also want those guys to taste my iron fist again. Watching Wolverine and Ancient Ape each lead a team out to explore, Little Tangerine couldn't help but call out in worry. At that moment, I turned to him. I'm actually quite worried about them too, as the creatures in this secret realm are very strong. However, I can't always be there to protect them. If humans launch a major attack on Abyss Island, Ape Sister, Bird Sister, Wolf Brother, and I won't be able to cover everyone. So, each of them must become stronger. The fastest way to become stronger is to fight strong opponents and grow through life and death battles. After hearing this, Little Tangerine got excited too. I want to become stronger. I also want to become stronger. Little Tangerine, you're already strong. From the moment you went alone to gather the giant beasts of Abyss Island to face the king of the dead rotten reptile, you became the strongest giant rat on Abyss Island. But that's still not enough. We need to take over this secret realm, keep getting stronger, and then tear apart anyone who dares to invade Abyss Island. A week later, most of Deathlark's subordinates had entered the secret realm. At this time, Little Tangerine and I were lying lazily on a pile of bones, burping contentedly, living a life with bones as our bed and the sky as our blanket. Just then, Ancient Ape returned from hunting. She was carrying a stegosaur on her shoulder, with the beasts pushing a whole cart of food behind her. After unloading the food, Ancient Ape excitedly ran up to me. Dragon Brother, I've definitely become much stronger this week. Now I can kill a secret realm stegosaur with one punch. Ape Sister's form is becoming more and more like the king of Abyss Island. After speaking, I had the Tapajara take the food back to Abyss Island. There are still many beasts there. This batch of meat should bring all the willing carnivorous giants together. As the Tapajara were about to reach the entrance, Deathlark suddenly swooped out from inside. Seeing this, both Ancient Ape and I were excited. The haughty creature is finally back. Looking at the vast red world before her, Deathlark was also in disbelief. When she turned to look at me and Ancient Ape, her face was full of shock. I can't believe you've become so strong in just a few days. Has your strength grown a lot? Deathlark asked with a light smile. Yes, Bird Sister, I feel like I've gotten so much stronger. Ancient Ape said proudly. Bird Sister, you better hurry up. The gap between you and me is getting even bigger now. Hearing that, Deathlark haughtily tossed her head and snorted. Who cares? Hey, where's Wolverine? Why don't I see him? He took his tribe hunting. Didn't you go to ask Lord Baz? Why didn't she come? Lord Baz's subordinates are all ice and snow creatures, accustomed to living on the Sage's snow mountain, so they all refused to come here. Deathlark said helplessly. Hearing this, I sighed. The climate here really isn't suitable for those guys. Although the ice creatures of the Sage's snow mountain don't want to come, Lord Baz herself had agreed to come with me. But as I was carrying her here, she suddenly became weak and feeble, as if she had fallen seriously ill. The closer we got here, the worse her condition became, and she eventually passed out. I had no choice but to take her back to the Sage's snow mountain. Strangely, once back at the Sage's snow mountain, Lord Baz's symptoms mysteriously disappeared, but she remains too weak to come here now. Hearing Deathlark's account, I was filled with doubts. What secret does this secret realm hide? Why can't Lord Baz come near? How odd. Could it be that she didn't want to come, so she pretended to be sick? That cunning creature could certainly be capable of that. Thinking this, I waved my hand and said, let's put this aside for now and invite her again once we're settled here. Now that you and your subordinates have come, we can start providing air support and expand our exploration. We already control the territory around the pit, and we need to scout the dense forests and mountains further away. Now that the carnivorous giants are mostly here, next we'll gather leaves and fruits to see if we can get the herbivorous giants into the secret realm too. Just then, a spiny jackal ran up in a panic. My lord, it's bad. We were attacked by the beasts of the secret realm during our hunt. 200-meter giants led the attack, injuring many of our tribe. We are outnumbered and in trouble. I knew I hadn't seen those big guys around lately. They must have been plotting something. Ape sister, you hold down the fort here. Bird sister, have your subordinates fly us over for support. But before I could finish, a rumbling noise approached from afar. I saw Wolverine leading the spiny jackal pack, being chased by a group of secret realm beasts running towards them. It looks like we won't need to go to them. This beast tide is coming straight for our base. Last time they chased us like stray dogs. Now I finally get a chance to return the favor. Upon hearing this, I swung my arm grandly and roared, brothers, if you want a place here, show your fangs and claws, and shred them for me. Seeing this, Wolverine quickly directed the wolf pack to disperse and prepare for battle. At that moment, leading the giant beasts, I charged into the beast tide like a sharp sword. The secret realm beasts, seeing me, instantly became enraged and roared furiously. Seeing this, I felt annoyed. Dare to roar at me? Watch me tear you all to shreds. With that, I took a deep breath and launched a psychic attack skill, Kui Dragon Cry. Instantly, all the secret realm beasts were stunned, swaying slightly on the spot. Taking advantage of this, I activated the Thunder Thorn Spike skill, then charged into the beast tide with the Dragon Supreme Path, instantly tearing through the tide. The secret realm beasts were sent flying, and then I spat out numerous explosive bombs. With a snap of my fingers, a sky full of flames instantly engulfed the beast horde. Having done all this, I was exhilarated. That was so exhilarating. I've indeed grown much stronger. As the Abyss Island giants and the secret realm beasts furiously clashed, suddenly, a large number of flying bird dragons dove from above, grabbing some smaller creatures and flying away. Just then, Deathlark appeared in time, using the skill Wind Blade in all directions to rescue the captured creatures. Amid the cheers of the Abyss Island creatures, Deathlark led her subordinates overhead and shouted, shoot down these flying creatures, kill for me. In an instant, a large number of Tapajara chased after the bird dragons and small thieving dragons. At the same time, once Wolverine broke free, he immediately led a counterattack. The dire wolf chief bit into one creature while Wolverine, utilizing momentum, leaped out and slashed at the crowd of beasts below with the gold slash. With several swishes, where the sword energy passed, all the creatures were instantly decapitated. Seeing this, Ancient Ape thought to herself, Dragon brother, Wolf brother, and Bird sister are all so fierce. I can't fall behind. With that, she clenched her fists, used the Iron Fist, and rushed forward, knocking down a Stegosaur with a single punch. She then grabbed the tail of the Stegosaur, veins bulging on her face, and in the next second, she began spinning with the Stegosaur, knocking away the surrounding giants in a blink. Seeing the great kings perform so powerfully, the creatures of Abyss Island cheered. Just then, a 100-meter Triceratops charged at Ancient Ape. Undaunted, Ancient Ape excitedly met the Triceratops head-on. Come on, let's see who's stronger. With a bang, Ancient Ape and the Triceratops collided fiercely. However, given the Triceratops' much larger size, her body began to slowly back away. Holding onto the Triceratops' horn, they were deadlocked. Suddenly, she exerted force, her eyes emitting red light and her veins bulging. The next second, she shouted and lifted the Triceratops over her head. Then boom, she slammed it to the ground. Seeing this, I immediately gave a thumbs up. Ape sister is mighty. Great job, Ape sister. However, at that moment, a roar came from the woods, and the gold Tyrannosaurus emerged from the forest. The 100-meter giants mentioned earlier were likely the Triceratops and this creature. Seeing the arrogant look on the Tyrannosaurus's face, I charged at it with the Dragon Supreme Path. You enjoyed chasing me last time? Now watch how I deal with you. With a boom, Tyrannosaurus and I collided. This time, I wasn't sent flying. Instead, the Tyrannosaurus ended up sprawling on the ground. My strength has indeed increased. Last time, it only took a few steps back after my hit. Here we go again. After saying this, I used my burst bite to bite towards the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and a pitiful scream immediately echoed throughout the secret realm. After some time, seeing that the Tyrannosaurus Rex was tortured to its last breath, I finally stopped attacking. Ape sister, stop playing around, and let's end this battle. After saying this, I leaped up and used the Kuei Dragon Slash towards the Tyrannosaurus Rex. On the other side, Ancient Ape used the mighty King Kong Punch on the Triceratops. Just like that, we easily took down the two giant beasts of the secret realm. Seeing this, the monsters of Abyss Island immediately cheered. Lord Kuei Dragon is mighty. Lord Ancient Ape is mighty. Lin Shen and the others have indeed become much stronger. Ugly bird, it looks like we need to hurry up and enhance our strength too. Look at how smug they are, getting cocky over just a slight increase in power. While the monsters of Abyss Island were immersed in joy, the secret realm giants quietly prepared to flee. Thinking of running? Did you get my permission? Beat them down mercilessly. Thus, the battle between the Abyss Island monsters and the secret realm giants ended with a complete victory for Abyss Island. After gathering all the prey, I and the others began to enjoy the fruits of victory. We won a great victory this this time. Everyone dig in. At that moment, Ancient Ape was gnawing on a piece of raw meat, her eyes filled with pity. Dragon brother, can we cook it first before eating? Eating it raw for so many days. I'm still not used to the taste. Hearing this, I immediately rolled my eyes. Ape sister, your stomach has really been spoiled by me. Just look at all our brothers eat like this. We can't have special treatment. If everyone wanted cooked food, how long would we be grilling? Dragon brother, I was wrong. Ancient Ape quickly admitted her mistake. Seeing this, Wolverine grew even more admiring of Lin Shin. Is this the wisdom of a human leader? No special treatment, treating everyone equally. Just then, Deathlark, who had gone to pursue the secret realm giants, returned with her subordinates. Our hound hunting team is back. I casually tossed a chicken leg to Deathlark. How did it go? How far did you chase those cowards? Deathlark caught the chicken leg and proudly said, we chased those guys quite a distance. Don't worry, this area is now completely our territory. Starting from tomorrow, Bird Sister, you lead your people to scout further out, keeping a close watch on the movements of the secret realm giants. After this battle, the secret realm giants won't be able to form a large-scale beast tide for a while. Now is our chance to secure our footing. A week later, our territory had expanded more than twice. Once other tribes had their own territories and gradually left, Ancient Ape and her group finally got to enjoy the barbecue they had been craving. Upon saying this, I transformed into a barbecue master, appeared helpless. Can't you guys eat less? I've grilled 500 skewers and haven't gotten a bite myself. Thankfully, the considerate Ancient Ape took over the grilling task after filling up, finally allowing me to have a bite. Our current territory is already sufficient to settle the beasts of Abyss Island, but we can't let our guard down yet. After all, this isn't Abyss Island, so we still need to maintain certain connections between the beast packs. Ideally, we would take over that valley and the Red Palace, where the energy is dense and conducive to increasing our strength, and ordinary secret realm creatures dare not approach. Unfortunately, with our current strength, we're no match for that spinning shadow monster. Just then, a Tapejara flew anxiously toward the secret realm. Great kings, bad news. Humans are here again. Hearing this, Wolverine and Deathlark immediately glared menacingly, and Ancient Ape even dropped her skewer. Humans, they dare to come to Abyss Island again. At this moment, only I remained calm. Ape sister, Wolf brother, hold your fire. The newcomers aren't likely from the Nether Palace. If it were them, they'd probably just bomb the island. Then, I asked the Tapejara, how many people have come? What do they look like? Only 2 people came, one riding a flying sword, the other on a wine jug. Wolverine and Ancient Ape then realized, it seems they're talking about Zhou and Mu General wonder what they're here for. Those 2 also brought a severely injured giant beast, which seems to be a polar bear. Hearing polar bear, I and the others were shocked. The only place with polar bears on Abyss Island is Sage's Snow Mountain. Could it be a subordinate of Lord Baz? With that thought, I and my companions hurriedly rushed toward the entrance of the Abyss Island secret realm. Meanwhile, outside the purple barrier, a severely wounded polar bear was lying on the ground. Mu Gen was using his abilities to treat the polar bear. How's it going? Can this giant beast be saved? Mu Gen sighed helplessly. I'm powerless now. This beast must have been dragging itself with severe injuries for days. It's lost too much blood. Just then, a loud shout came from behind, and we were seen rushing from the secret realm in haste. Damn it, what happened? How did the bear get so severely injured? Just as Zhou was about to explain, Wolverine had already drawn his sword and held it against his neck. Did you hurt him? Mu Gen quickly explained. It's a misunderstanding. We didn't do this. You're still making excuses. The bear's wounds are all blade cuts. If not you, then who? As he spoke, Wolverine was about to make a move against Mu Gen and Zhou. At the crucial moment, I stopped him. Zhou and Mu Gen have already shown their stance in the previous battle, and even told us about the secret realm entrance for free, saving us a lot of trouble searching. Wolf brother, Ape sister, let's calm down first. I then handed a life fruit to Ancient Ape, signaling her to prioritize saving Polar Bear. Then I turned to Zhou. Tell us what exactly happened. Zhou commanded his personal sword to fly out of its sheath, leaped onto the flying sword, and approached me. You're too tall. It's easier to talk this way. This visit, Mu Gen and I wanted to inform you of the latest movements of the Nether Palace. However, when we discovered this dying white bear without any monster patrols in the area, we couldn't just leave it to die. Mu Gen's abilities, though healing, could only delay its death due to the bear's severe injuries and massive size. It seems this bear was injured a few days ago and had traveled for days to get here. I'm not sure if it was trying to find you, but since it's a creature of Abyss Island, I couldn't ignore it, so I brought it here. Just then, Ancient Ape fed Polar Bear the life fruit, and Mu Gen exclaimed in surprise, how can that fruit work so well? This beast is still unconscious, but its life is no longer in danger. He truly is an important partner of ours. Thank you for bringing him here. Does the Nether Palace have new actions? We'll discuss that in a moment. Can I first ask, where have all the giant beasts of Abyss Island gone? Have you all entered the secret realm? Yes, the secret realm is now Abyss Island's second base. Thanks to you and Mu Gen for telling us the location and also the hypothesis that the energy from the king of the dead rotten reptiles isn't repelled by the purple barrier. Seeing the piles of bones on the ground, Zhou immediately guessed that the beasts of Abyss Island had obtained their energy by devouring creatures of the secret realm. In and exclaimed, "I have to admit, you are a clever monster, coming up with the idea to enter the secret realm. It seems your strength has indeed increased significantly in the last half-month. However, this is still not enough. The Nether Palace is amassing a large number of resources, and it won't be long before they head towards Abyss Island. The elders of the Nether Palace have all been called back, and they are inquiring about Abyss Island from multiple sources. Although those who survived the last battle have been detained by us under the guise of treatment, Envy escaped, and the information about you has long been known to them. However, Envy's failure this time has infuriated the master of the Nether Palace, not only stripping her of her elder status but also extracting her super metal ability. If they truly extract it, Envy will surely die a miserable death on the spot." Upon hearing this, I snorted coldly. "A defeated general isn't worth mentioning. Can you tell me about the Nether Palace's master and the other elders?" The Nether Palace has one master and 6 elders, named after the 7 deadly sins. The master, Wrath, is an SS tier peak ability user. Since he rarely makes a move, not much intelligence has been gathered on him. The chief elder, Pride, is also an SS tier peak ability user with powerful frost abilities that can freeze thousands of miles. The third elder, Greed, is an S tier speed ability user, quick as lightning, with teleportation abilities. The fourth elder, Lust, is an S tier female mental ability user with strong charm and petrification abilities. The fifth elder, Sloth, is an S tier gravity ability user, known as the strongest support and group control ability user. The sixth elder, Gluttony, is an S tier strength ability user, bloodthirsty and brutal, able to enhance his strength and heal himself by devouring the flesh of his enemies. I laughed and said, "Looks like a tough fight is coming, but this Gluttony sounds interesting. Devouring enemies' flesh to enhance strength and heal. Isn't that a specialty of us monsters?" Seeing I am still in the mood to joke, Joji said urgently, "This is no time for jokes. Apart from these elders, the Nether Palace is deeply rooted, and its other forces are not to be underestimated. Since we've already made enemies, being afraid is useless. If we really can't beat them, I'll take all the monsters and hide in the secret realm to grow stronger in stealth." Hearing this, Joji sighed and then handed me a new energy satellite phone, indicating that he would inform me as soon as there was any movement from the Nether Palace. I took the phone and asked, "Aren't you afraid of offending the Nether Palace by helping us like this? They probably have already sent people to scout around Abyss Island. The Nether Palace alone is not enough for the Cathay's Heaven Force to worry about. Our concern is that the state powers might intervene. Abyss Island is located between Cathay and Sakura Nation. According to our intelligence, Sakura Nation has already set their sights on Abyss Island. We don't want the secret realm to fall into their hands. While I think they can't defeat you if they join forces with the Nether Palace." Before Joji could finish, I excitedly interrupted, "Are you talking about the little son? Let them come. I'll turn them into skewers for the monsters of Abyss Island to feast on." Hearing this, Mugen burst out laughing. "Did I hear that right? You also refer to Sakura Nation as little son? I didn't expect a monster to use the same term as us. I'm starting to like you more and more, kid." As Joji saw that the bear was no longer in danger, and after finishing their discussion, he prepared to take his leave, but I pointed to the barrier behind him, inviting them into the secret realm. Hearing this, Joji declined. "Although we are curious about the secret realm, now is not the time. We will visit after this crisis is resolved. If that's the case, we'll visit the secret realm another time. We shall meet again later. Goodbye." "Alright, we'll meet again." After Joji and Mugen left, Ancient Ape expressed her concerns. "Dragon brother, if the enemy really comes, what should we do?" "Ape sister, we don't have much time left, but for now, the most important thing is to find out exactly what happened at Sage's Snow Mountain." Just then, Polar Bear suddenly woke up. When he saw me and Ancient Ape, he immediately struggled to get up and knelt down. "Linshin, it's so good to see you. Hurry, Lord Baz is in danger. We must save her." Hearing this, we were shocked and hurriedly asked Polar Bear what danger Lord Baz had encountered. At this time, Polar Bear hesitated and then said, "Lord Baz has been captured." Hearing this, I immediately asked what exactly had happened. Then, supported by Ancient Ape, Polar Bear slowly stood up and began to explain the sequence of events. It turns out that Baz had left the Sage's Snow Mountain with Deathlark, planning to head to the secret realm. On the way, due to her physical condition, she was sent back to the Sage's Snow Mountain. Her health continued to deteriorate, as if she had contracted a serious illness. However, just after Deathlark returned to the secret realm, Baz suddenly sensed an impending crisis, so she asked all her subordinates, the Ice Giants, to go down the mountain to hide. But Polar Bear and others, worried about Baz's safety, voluntarily stayed to continue protecting her. However, just a few days ago, a red illusionary gate suddenly appeared on the peak of Sage's Snow Mountain, and from it emerged a dozen huge, feathered strange beasts. These beasts started attacking the Ice Giants, protecting Baz without hesitation. The Ice Giants, unable to withstand these fierce beasts, were caught in a difficult battle when a fast-spinning top shadow appeared. To protect her subordinates, Baz dragged her injured body into a deadly fight with the top shadow. Knowing she was no match for the top shadow, Baz, to save her subordinates, charged into the illusionary gate with the top shadow and then blew up her energy inside the the gate, destroying it. The ice giants managed to kill the remaining invaders, but Baz was trapped inside the illusionary gate, her life and death unknown. We didn't know how to rescue Lord Baz, nor did we know where to rescue her. After understanding the situation, I had an answer. At this moment, Ancient Ape stepped forward and said, "Dragon brother, the top shadow polar bear mentioned, isn't it the monster in the Red Palace?" Hearing this, Polar Bear immediately became excited. "You know about the Red Palace, the black top monster?" "Yes, we also encountered a top monster in the secret realm, and we almost died at its hands. However, that guy should not be able to leave the Red Palace, otherwise we would have been in serious trouble long ago. Why would it appear at Sage's Snow Mountain, and how could it use spatial teleportation? Could it be that the Red Palace has a passage to there?" Hearing this news, Polar Bear and the others were eager to rescue Baz. "With our current strength, we are no match for the spinning shadow monster. Although our strength has increased, it's still not enough. Moreover, it can command the beasts of the secret realm." Hearing this, Polar Bear unhappily said, "Baz has protected Abyss Island for so long. Now it's our turn to repay her. Even if it means sacrificing our lives, I'm willing to do so." Wolverine and Ancient Ape echoed Polar Bear's sentiment. "Polar Bear is right, Dragon brother. Baz has been good to us. We must save her. For Lord Baz, I'm willing to go through fire and water." However, Deathlark, always proud, remained silent. She knew Linshin would not stand by and do nothing. Sure enough, the next second I said, "We must save Lord Baz. The decisive battle with the spinning shadow monster is inevitable. However, currently we are at a disadvantage, so we must plan carefully and prepare thoroughly." I handed a bunch of life fruits to Deathlark. "Bird sister, make these life fruits first to help the injured ice giants. If any are willing to come, bring them here to join us." Ancient Ape, take food to Polar Bear in the secret realm so he can recover quickly, gather energy to enter the realm, and call all the beasts of Abyss Island together for the next steps. Wolf brother, we still don't know the exact situation with Lord Baz. Take a team to the vicinity of Red Valley to scout, but be discreet and avoid exposure. Everyone, let's split up now and meet back here in the secret realm cave by evening to discuss our plan. Tomorrow, we will have our showdown with the spinning shadow monster. After giving these instructions, Deathlark and her followers flew toward the Sage's Snow Mountain, and Ancient Ape and Wolverine headed towards the secret realm. At that moment, I summoned Little Quinn and asked, "Little Quinn, our strength is far inferior to the spinning shadow monster, and we might all be annihilated. Do you have any suggestions? Surely you won't just watch your host die." Hearing this, Little Quinn sighed helplessly. "Your strength can't be enhanced much in such a short time. What can I do? I've accumulated quite a few evolution points over the past half-month, but that only increases my strength, not everyone's. Do you have anything in your shop that can boost combat power in a short time? I remember you mentioned finding a suitable skill for Ape Sister." "Ah, you didn't mention it. I almost forgot. I do have a weapon that's perfect for Ancient Ape." Hearing this, I was overjoyed. "Little Quinn, hurry, bring out the weapon for me to see. Look at how eager you are. That weapon is right here in this cave. I'll take you there now." Led by Little Quinn, I arrived at the location where they had fought the King of the Dead Rotten Reptiles. By then, the carcass of the King of the Dead Rotten Reptiles had turned to bare bones. Little Quinn pointed in a direction. "See that? That's the perfect weapon for Ancient Ape." He was pointing at the giant skull of the King of the Dead Rotten Reptiles. "Little Quinn, are you playing with me again? The great weapon you mentioned is the King of the Dead Rotten Reptiles head." Hearing this, Little Quinn explained, "I've thought of a way to modify this skull. After my adjustments, it will become the most powerful weapon for Ancient Ape." "Cut it. How can this skull become a powerful weapon? Do you remember the 8 abilities of the King of the Dead Rotten Reptiles and its sons?" "Of course, we were quite troubled by those abilities." "Don't tell me you plan to reconstruct those 8 abilities onto the head of the King of the Dead Rotten Reptiles." "Yes, that's right. I'm going to reshape these abilities right on this head. However, due to the lack of time and your insufficient evolution points, I can only reshape 2 or 3 skills for now." Hearing what Little Quinn said, I also couldn't help but look forward to the remodeled skull. Meanwhile, at the Red Palace in the secret realm, Baz's hands were chained in the square, with a container behind her continuously absorbing her energy. All this was being watched by Wolverine, who was hiding in a large tree. Lord Baz is indeed here. It looks like she's in a bad situation. At that moment, the figure of the spinning shadow monster appeared in the square. "Baz, once I absorb all your power and that of your disciples, I will no longer have any deficiencies and will become complete. You have such power but choose to protect this broken island. Just wait. Once I leave Abyss Island, kill the secret realm's guardian beasts, and obtain their power, I will become the ruler of this world, the true ancient beast god." Hearing this, Wolverine was confused. "What guardian beast of the secret realm? Ancient beast god? The power of this spinning shadow monster is too strong. I need to leave quickly and tell Linshin about this." Meanwhile, at the entrance of the secret realm, Polar Bear gained energy and entered the secret realm with Ancient Ape. Deathlark, Wolverine, and I look at Polar Bear as they arrived. "Polar Bear, are you alright?" "I'm fine now, thanks to the fruits you gave me." "Any news on Lord Baz?" "Wolf brother has returned from investigating the Red Palace, and we're discussing the matter now. Our speculations were correct. Lord Baz is indeed in the Red Palace." Hearing this, Polar Bear is delighted. "Great, then let's set off now and rescue Lord Baz. We're currently discussing a rescue plan." "What's there to discuss? We've got all these monsters, let's just go and save Lord Baz. Wolverine look at Polar Bear seriously. The spinning shadow monster is absorbing Lord Baz's life essence. Lord Baz won't be in immediate danger but surely can't last long. That monster is strong. If we charge rashly, it will be a suicide. Then I turn to Polar Bear. We have already discussed a rescue plan which we wanted to confirm with you. Given the spinning shadow monster's strength, we can't afford to engage in prolonged combat during this operation. Our main objective is to rescue Lord Baz, Ape's sister, Wolf brother, and I will distract the spinning shadow monster while Bird's sister takes the opportunity to rescue Lord Baz. We must leave the Red Valley as quickly as possible. It's still unclear whether the spinning shadow monster can leave the valley like before. Previously, it was transported directly to Sage's Snow Mountain, not through the barrier, so I assume it still can't leave. If it can, the situation will become even more complicated. With the tasks clearly assigned, everyone began to move separately, preparing to engage the spinning shadow monster in the battle to rescue Lord Baz. We'll use the open area to deal with it. Bear, you're in charge of leading the Abyss Island giants to block those supporting giants. After assigning the tasks, Bear went to meet with the leader of Abyss Island, and I then turned to my teammates and said, to increase our chances of winning, I've prepared some power-enhancing items for you. Saying this, I took out a collar. Wolf brother, this is specially prepared for you. Upon seeing the collar, Deathlark immediately mocked. That dog collar really suits Ugly Wolf. Hearing this, I awkwardly explained, although it doesn't look good, it's a space storage item. Although the space isn't large, it's still capable of storing dozens of weapons. Moreover, I've modified the Bloodblade knife of the King of the Dead Rotten Reptiles for you, giving you a black fawn knife, and I've made a set of wrist guard to mount the knife, made from extremely hard metal to strengthen your defense. Hearing about the weapons, Wolverine immediately lit up with excitement, and Deathlark, seeing his reaction, disdainfully said, "This cold weapon collector." Just as I handed the collar to Wolverine, the collar suddenly shrank. With this mobile armory, Wolf brother doesn't have to run to the cave for weapons anymore. This collar can change size freely, suitable for wearing whether you're in wolf form or human form. How about it? Isn't it convenient? Taking the collar, Wolverine eagerly put it on. The size is just right. It really suits me perfectly. Hearing this, Deathlark laughed loudly on the side. Yeah, you look even more like a dog now. Ugly bird, you asking for a fight? Wolverine glared angrily. Upon seeing this, I quickly interjected, alright, enough. The mission is more important. Next up, Bird's sister. I then pulled out a bottle. This is a magic hair growth potion specially tailored for you. Wolverine couldn't help but burst into laughter. This suits you perfectly. Deathlark immediately glared at me furiously. Ugly dragon, are you doing this on purpose? I don't need any hair growth potion at all. At that moment, I sprayed the hair growth potion on top of Deathlark's head. This hair growth potion will let you grow new feathers right away, and they even come with magical powers, making it easier for you to perform spells. However, after some time, Deathlark's head remained bald, unchanged. Strange, why didn't it work? How come new feathers haven't grown on your head? Still so bald? I said puzzledly, spraying a few more times on Deathlark's neck. Ugly dragon, enough. You're bald. Your whole family is bald. Deathlark angrily exclaimed, just as she finished speaking. Indeed, a few feathers sprang up on her neck, and she could feel that these feathers were indeed infused with magic. Alright, since you've put so much thought into it, I won't hold it against you, Deathlark said. Then, to make it easier for Deathlark to use it in the future, I tied the hair growth potion to her leg. At this moment, Ancient Ape couldn't wait to speak up. Dragon brother, it's my turn. What do I get? Don't worry, Ancient Ape, you're going to love this, I said as I pulled out the modified head of the Dead Rotten Reptile King. I call this Xianlu Dragon Fist. Deathlark looked puzzled. Isn't that the head of the Reptile King? You're actually giving that thing to Ape's sister as a weapon? That's called recycling. The Dead Rotten Reptile King had caused so much destruction on Abyss Island, so in death, it was only right that he contributes to Abyss Island. After saying this, I attached the skull to Ancient Ape's sturdy right-hand bangle. Does everyone remember the 8 abilities of the Reptile King? The toxic abilities don't suit Ape's sister, so I've made some modifications. But due to the crunch for time, I only developed 2 skills. The first skill comes from the Reptile King's son's toxic body ability, which I call Dragon Domination. The Xianlu Dragon Fist is extremely hard, can withstand any attack, and can smash enemies into mush. The second skill comes from the Reptile King's son's toxic blade biting ability, which I call Dragon Bite. Although the Xianlu Dragon Fist doesn't have toxicity, its immense biting power can cause enemies to continually lose blood. Hearing my explanation, Ancient Ape fell in love with her new weapon. Dragon brother, you're the best. This is literally made for me. On the other side, Deathlark silently seethed with envy. This biased guy gives a dog collar to the Ugly Wolf, hair growth potion to me, and such a treasure to Ape's sister. After the equipment upgrade, Deathlark and her subordinates flew me and others towards the Red Palace, while Polar Bear led the giants of Abyss Island towards the valley. Brothers, let's move out. We must rescue Lord Baz. As the rescue team was about to reach the Red Palace, I hurriedly instructed Deathlark to speed up and dropped us above the Red Palace, planning to breach the palace gates before the spinning shadow monster noticed. As I landed, my dorsal fins emitted a dazzling light. The frenzy begins now. With that, that, I fired a burst breath directly at the palace gate. With a loud bang, the burst breath hit the red gate solidly. However, unexpectedly, the strike only scorched the gate, and this movement successfully attracted the attention of the spinning shadow monster from behind the palace. The spinning shadow monster immediately used its turbine slash, charging straight at us. Seeing this, Wolverine quickly drew his great sword, ready to withstand its assault. However, he could only hold on for 2 seconds before spitting blood and being thrown backward. Fortunately, Ancient Ape caught him in time and placed the Xianglu Dragon Fist in front of her, barely blocking the spinning shadow monster's assault. "You damn ant, how dare you block my blade?" At that moment, I fired several explosive bombs at the spinning shadow monster and snapped my fingers to detonate them, but the bombs were deflected before they could get close. "This creature is too fast. We need to slow it down." Thinking this, I directly launched a psychic attack skill, the Dragon Roar, at the spinning shadow monster. Taking advantage of the spinning shadow monster's momentary distraction, Wolverine hurriedly swung his gold slash, and Ancient Ape attacked with her Dragon Fist skill. Even so, we were still unable to breach the spinning shadow monster's defenses. Seeing this, I fired another burst breath, but as soon as it touched the creature, it was deflected. The creature kept spinning, making it hard to see any weak points. What was it using to deflect the attack? It seemed to be a shield. A hard shield and a sharp blade might be its weapons. But just as I thought this, in the next second, the spinning shadow monster fired numerous crossbow bolts. Wolverine, with his agile body and great sword, barely dodged the attack, but Ancient Ape and I were hit by several bolts. Who would have thought this creature would also have crossbow bolts? As the words left my mouth, the spinning shadow monster accelerated, coming between me and Ancient Ape. Suddenly, a long spear extended from the spinning shadow, striking me. How the hell are we supposed to fight this? It's using so many weapons at once. Does this creature have 3 heads and 6 arms? As Ancient Ape, Wolverine, and I were entrenched in a fierce battle with the spinning shadow monster, Deathlark took the opportunity to reach the square where Baz was held. She used her beak to unlock the chains binding Baz, then flew off with her. Meanwhile, on the other side, Ancient Ape, Wolverine, and I were blown away. The spinning shadow monster then fired several more crossbow bolts at us. Seeing this, I quickly pushed Ancient Ape to the side and instantly switched to my human form to dodge the deadly attack. Seeing this, Ancient Ape's eyes filled with tears. "Dragon brother has shrunk to protect me. I'm okay, Ape sister." I changed back to human form to use a secret weapon. Saying this, I immediately took out a gravity gun I had obtained from a human psychic and fired it above the spinning shadow monster. As the gravity bomb exploded above the spinning shadow monster, a strong gravitational field enveloped it, significantly slowing its rapid rotation. "It really works. This guy is finally slowing down," I said while continuously pulling the trigger, aiming and firing at the spinning shadow monster. I quickly switched back to my giant beast form, gathered energy, and launched my strongest mouth cannon attack, the burst breath. Unexpectedly, the burst breath passed directly through the spinning shadow monster's body. "I'm not playing with you anymore. I'm off to kill Baz and your friends." How did this guy disappear under the gravity field? What's going on? Just minutes ago, as Deathlark had just rescued Baz, the spinning shadow monster had sensed it. When Baz woke up and realized she had left the Red Palace, she immediately instructed Deathlark to turn back. "If I leave, the spinning shadow monster will quickly sense it. Don't worry, Lord Baz. We have already left the range of the Red Valley, and besides, that guy is tied up by Lin Shen and the others. He can't catch up for now." "Bird sister, you're mistaken. That guy won't be held back. As soon as I leave the Red Valley, it will be forcibly teleported to my side." Just as Deathlark heard this, looking puzzled, the spinning shadow monster suddenly appeared above them. With a swoosh, Deathlark was directly slashed from the air, then crashed to the ground with a loud boom. Seeing this, we were immediately worried and hurriedly ran towards that direction. Meanwhile, Deathlark struggled to get up, unable to understand how the spinning shadow monster had appeared there. The spinning shadow monster had already reached her, using Euro Slash to strike her again. At that critical moment, a shield suddenly appeared in front of her. Baz immediately used her life essence to create a shield and successfully blocked the spinning shadow monster's attack. However, this caused her already battered body to suffer even more. Under the relentless attacks of the spinning shadow monster, Baz's body was on the verge of collapsing. Deathlark, seeing this, hurriedly signaled Baz to stop, but Baz continued to persevere, even splitting her life essence to heal Deathlark's injuries. "Bird sister, stop talking. It's all my fault. I've dragged you all into this." The spinning shadow monster, seeing this, laughed mockingly. "Baz, you good for nothing. You're hardly able to keep yourself alive and still think of saving others. Stop struggling. Your life essence is all mine." With that, she madly used Euro Slash to attack the shield. As the shield was about to shatter, Deathlark anxiously shouted, "Don't worry about me. Run away." But as her words fell, the spinning shadow monster struck fiercely again, and with a bang, the shield shattered like glass. Baz was knocked back by the backlash, spitting out a mouthful of blood, collapsing to the ground. As the spinning shadow monster continued her relentless attack, swooping down, the defenseless Deathlark let out a frustrated roar. However, just as the spinning shadow monster was about to strike, a burst breath suddenly struck over, striking the spinning shadow shadow monster's side, standing directly between them, blocking the spinning shadow monster's attack. At this crucial moment, the others and I had timely arrived. Ancient Ape leaped, landing above the spinning shadow monster, and slammed down hard, successfully pushing her back. Wolverine and I then positioned ourselves between Deathlark and Baz. Bird sister, Lord Baz, how are you? I'm okay. Lord Baz saved me with her life force, but now her energy is growing weaker and weaker. Hearing this, I hurriedly took out a life fruit and handed it to Deathlark. You feed this life fruit to Lord Baz first. We'll hold off this spinning shadow monster. However, at that moment, the spinning shadow monster burst into laughter. You finally gathered together. Now, return to me the life essence that belongs to me within you. What do you mean? Why would our life essence belong to you? The spinning shadow monster sneered. It seems your Lord Baz hasn't told you the truth. Well, I'll let you die understanding today. I'll stop spinning and let you see my true face. With that, the spinning shadow monster ceased her spinning, revealing her true form. Shockingly, she had the same face as Baz and was a monster with 5 legs. Seeing this, we were too shocked to speak. How about that? Surprised? Actually, I am Baz, and Baz is me. I am a monster created by Baz herself, representing her dark inner self. Bet you didn't expect that? Your revered guardian of the Abyss Island has such a dark, twisted heart. Hearing this, I incredulously turned to Baz and asked, what is going on? Baz lowered her head, her expression heavy. Linshin, she's right. This is all my fault. I released the darkness within me in this place and created this monster with my own hands. Hearing this, I and the others were utterly shocked. It turned out that over 1,000 years ago, Baz chanced upon this secret realm and felt the powerful energy emanating from the Red Palace. To obtain that power, she defeated the palace's guardian and entered the palace interior. There, she saw a huge red crystal, the source of the realm's energy. However, when she couldn't resist the temptation and touched the crystal, an accident occurred. The crystal's powerful energy instantly plunged her into an endless dark illusion, causing her excruciating pain. That energy magnified the negative emotions in her heart, and a powerful dark shadow burst out from within her. As she was trapped in the illusion, numerous beasts that had been eyeing the energy of the secret realm broke in and greedily absorbed the energy from the red crystal. Those who absorbed the energy not only became stronger but also mutated, including the king of the dead rotten reptiles. As the dead rotten reptile king grew in power the fastest to monopolize the red crystal, it killed all other beasts that had intruded into the secret realm. However, when the dead rotten reptile king attempted to ambush Baz while she was still trapped in the illusion, the Dark Baz had already been completely separated. Feeling the opponent's power, the dead rotten reptile king had no choice but to flee. Later, the Dark Baz, aiming to take all of Baz's life essence, engaged in a fierce battle with the recovered Baz. Since they were of the same origin, neither could kill the other, and ultimately, Baz had to use a secret technique to trap her dark self. After sealing her dark self, Baz set it as the new guardian, protecting the Red Palace to prevent other beasts from intruding. And Baz's condition for helping the beasts of Abyss Island was to absorb life essence, to conceal herself and avoid detection by the Dark Baz. Because your blood contains my life essence. After entering the secret realm and being injured by the Dark Baz, it unlocked the seal and located the position of Sage's Snow Mountain. Hearing this, I and the others finally understood the whole story. We didn't realize it was us who caused your harm. It doesn't concern you. I created this monster myself and have been evading it for 1,000 years. I knew I would have to face it again someday. At this, Dark Baz chuckled coldly. Everything that needed to be said has been said. You can now go to your deaths in peace. Thanks for giving us the time to recover our strength. Now, let's officially start the second round of fighting. However, just as I finished speaking, countless creatures from the secret realm suddenly emerged from the Red Valley. You think I was just being nice letting you listen to the story? I was actually gathering my minions. Why bother doing it myself when I can solve it without lifting a finger? You think we don't have backup? We brought our minions too. As soon as I spoke, Polar Bear led the creatures of Abyss Island from the other side, charging at the secret realm creatures. Spinning shadow monster creature, no one's interrupting now. Let's continue the second round of our fight. After saying that, I quickly switched to human form, picked up a cannon, and fired several gravity bullets at the spinning shadow monster. Seeing this, it was shocked. Not this thing again. The spinning shadow monster quickly spun, trying to dodge the gravity bullet attacks. Just then, Ancient Ape used her dragon domination skill and charged at it. Seeing this, the spinning shadow monster immediately swung its blade at her. Ancient Ape quickly switched to the dragon bite skill and actually managed to bite directly onto the creature's blade, forcibly stopping it. Then, Ancient Ape swiftly turned around, flinging the spinning shadow monster into the range of the gravity bullets. The spinning shadow monster was startled and quickly stabbed its long spear into the ground to stabilize itself. However, by this time, I had already charged up my attack and launched a burst breath at the spinning shadow monster. Although the spinning shadow monster blocked the burst breath with its shield, its body was still knocked backward, landing directly within the range of the gravity bullets. You all actually teamed up to trap me. Now it's my turn. Die, spinning shadow monster. However, contrary to everyone's expectations, the burst breath that I used, although powerful, did not kill the spinning shadow monster with one hit. Instead, it blasted her out of of the range of the gravity field. Seeing this, Wolverine quickly drew his sword and charged at the spinning shadow monster, but his gold slash was blocked by the creature's shield, and he himself fell into the range of the gravity field. The spinning shadow monster laughed. "You fool, daring to enter the gravity field willingly, seeking your own death." With that, the spinning shadow monster launched a fierce attack at Wolverine. But Wolverine was not at all panicked. Facing the spinning shadow monster's onslaught, he dove back into the fray, and the two began an intense close-quarters battle within the gravity field. The fight became more intense, and the spinning shadow monster grew increasingly alarmed as it realized that Wolverine was not affected by the gravity field at all. At this moment, I laughed and said, "Wolf Brother is a martial fanatic. He has spent so much time training in gravity fields to improve his speed. This bit of gravity is nothing to him." Hearing this, the spinning shadow monster couldn't help but scoff. "So what if you're fast? Your sword skills still can't touch me." Wolverine scoffed in response. "Is that so? What comes next might disappoint you." With that, Wolverine leaped up, instantly shifting into a giant wolf form with 3 blades, his body spinning rapidly as he used a triple blade rush towards the spinning shadow monster. Although the spinning shadow monster dodged to the side, Wolverine gave her no chance to breathe. Just landing, he leaped again, charging at the spinning shadow monster and then unleashing his strongest skill, Star Slash. Behind him, the golden phantom of his master appeared, slashing at the spinning shadow monster with his sword. In desperation, the spinning shadow monster quickly raised her shield to block. However, the next second, with a loud bang, the shield was completely shattered. Seeing this, I immediately exclaimed, "Nice work, Wolf Brother. Wolf Brother, I'll help you take her down." With that, I spewed several explosive bombs, using the smoke from the explosions as cover, while Wolverine accelerated once more towards the spinning shadow monster. At this moment, seeing the soon-to-disappear gravity field, I realized we couldn't delay any longer. The next second, I activated my strongest lava form, instantly sending a wave of heat sweeping through the area. The dense forest burst into flames instantly, and the spinning shadow monster was startled by this powerful aura. How did his aura suddenly increase so much? The spinning shadow monster wondered in shock. Baz, seeing this, was also surprised. "Lin Shen, when did he have such powerful skills?" As everyone was astonished, I began to gather energy. Spinning shadow monster, taste my burst breath in lava form. The next second, the lava version of the burst breath shot straight towards the spinning shadow monster. Sensing the terror of the attack, the spinning shadow monster teleported behind Wolverine, attempting to use him to block the attack. However, Wolverine snorted coldly, "You're really a coward." The spinning shadow monster turned her head and was shocked to see Wolverine's body shrinking instantly, switching from giant wolf form to human form. Immediately following, an explosive bomb sent the spinning shadow monster flying out of the gravity field. Boom! With the hit of the burst breath, the spinning shadow monster was heavily blasted away. However, to everyone's surprise, she wasn't melted by the attack, but instead was blasted out of the range of the gravity field. At this point, the severely injured spinning shadow monster coughed violently. "Damn it, you've tricked me again." The spinning shadow monster gritted her teeth in anger. As the lava form was too draining, I immediately reverted to his normal form after the display. "Spinning shadow monster, how did you like that taste? Now it's time for your demise. Thinking you can kill me so easily? Soon you'll pay for what you've just done." With that, the spinning shadow monster turned and ran towards the direction of the Red Palace. Seeing this, look baffled. This guy really runs fast. Just after making a threat, she ran away. Isn't that a bit too embarrassing? However, at this moment, Baz shouted, "Lin Shen, hurry and stop her. She's going to enter the Red Palace to absorb energy and recover her strength." Hearing this, I was shocked and quickly led the ape sister and the others in pursuit. Just as Deathlark was about to catch up to the spinning shadow monster thanks to her speed advantage, the spinning shadow monster suddenly turned around and shot several crossbow bolts at her. While Deathlark was using her skills to block these bolts, the spinning shadow monster took the opportunity to accelerate towards the Red Palace. "Haha, you think with your snail's pace you can catch up to me? Once I return to the palace and absorb the energy of the red crystal, I will tear you all to pieces." However, just as she was feeling smug, a light suddenly condensed in front of the Red Palace into a figure. The spinning shadow monster was immediately shocked. "Baz, why are you here? How is this possible?" Indeed, the figure that the light had formed was Baz, and she had used her life force to create a shield, blocking the entrance to the palace. "You can teleport to me, so of course, I can teleport in front of you." Hearing this, the spinning shadow monster was infuriated, her veins bulging, as she furiously used her skills to smash the shield. Wolverine had already arrived behind her and instantly switched to his giant wolf form, pouncing at her. Just as the spinning shadow monster dodged in a panic, I and the others had already reached the front of the palace, blocking her path. "You think you can stop me, and that means you've won? I still have other cards to play." With that, she screamed upwards, emitting a piercing shriek. The sound was so intense it was almost unbearable. Just when I thought it was a kind of psychic attack, the giant creatures fighting with Polar Bear suddenly went berserk, all beginning to roar and move toward us. "This guy can't beat us," so she starts shaking us down. "Don't let the creatures of the secret realm interfere here." But by then, the creatures of the secret realm had already gone mad, and Polar Bear and his group couldn't stop them. Seeing this, Wolverine said, "I'll go stop those creatures. You all be careful." With that, he radiated golden light and charged towards the secret realm creatures. With a few swishes, several creatures were immediately cut down by Wolverine. But as the creatures fell, a wave of red energy drifted out from their bodies, then floated towards the spinning shadow monster, absorbed into her body. Seeing her absorb the red energy, I was shocked, so I quickly warned Wolverine, "Don't kill the creatures of the secret realm." Seeing this, the spinning shadow monster laughed loudly. "You're too late to know." Seeing this, Deathlark quickly joined the fight. "Ape sister, you're too slow. Let me handle this." With that, Deathlark switched to hurricane form and then used a fierce wind to blow a large batch of creatures into the air. At this time, I saw that the spinning shadow monster was still howling and knew that if I didn't stop her, more creatures would keep coming our way. So I sprayed a burst breath at the spinning shadow monster, aiming to stop her from continuing to summon creatures. Just then, a flock of ancient bird dragons flew towards the spinning shadow monster. Under her command, they shielded her from a burst breath attack with their bodies. "You ugly dragon, you've really helped me out." Then, the spinning shadow monster absorbed all the red energy. "Thank you for letting me absorb so much energy. I'm almost back to full strength, and now the real show can begin." As she stepped on a stone slab, a rumbling sound came from beneath the ground, followed by strange stone pillars chained together rising from the earth. Before long, they formed a square in front of the palace. Seeing this, I was incredulous. What on earth is this? For over 1,000 years, to pass the tedious time, I've developed a fighting style that suits me best. This is my trump card. With that, the spinning shadow monster, chained to the pillars, began to spin rapidly. While I and the others were bewildered, the strange pillars suddenly bent under the force of the spinning shadow monster, who then used the rebound force of the pillars to launch a direct Euro slash at the Wolverine. The wolf hurriedly blocked with its blade, but was sent flying, and immediately, Ancient Ape rushed over, intending to use the dragon dominance skill to stop the spinning shadow monster, but she too was repelled upon contact. Seeing this, I was shocked by the high attack power of the spinning shadow monster, aided by her high-speed rotation and the pillar's rebound. Just as Wolverine launched a gold shine slash at the spinning shadow monster, the chains suddenly tightened, and the spinning shadow monster eerily dodged the attack, spinning back to the top of the pillar. Seeing this, I was reminded of playing with yo-yos as a child. This creature was treating herself like a yo-yo. With this in mind, I quickly called Wolverine back. However, just then, the pillars began to spin, and the spinning shadow monster lunged at Wolverine again. The wolf hadn't even realized what was happening before it was hit by the spinning shadow monster, his blood spurting violently. Seeing Wolverine wounded, Ancient Ape rushed forward and punched at the spinning shadow monster using the dragon dominance skill. However, at that moment, the spinning shadow monster suddenly released the chains, rebounded off the pillars several times, and then reattached herself behind them, launching another attack. By the time I turned to locate her, it was too late. The spinning shadow monster first used Euro Slash to strike my back, then quickly moved behind Ancient Ape using the spinning pillars and hit her back. Seeing this, I quickly spat out several explosive bombs, using the pillar's rebound to target the spinning shadow monster. As the spinning shadow monster rapidly dodged the explosive bombs with the chains, I decisively snapped my fingers to detonate the shells. But unexpectedly, the spinning shadow monster timely released the chains and escaped the range of the pillars. That's when Deathlark seized the opportunity and unleashed a wide-ranging skill, Wind Blade. However, the spinning shadow monster deftly maneuvered around the pillars and chains, easily dodging Deathlark's attack, and using the rebound force of the pillars, she lunged directly at Deathlark. Deathlark hadn't even reacted before she was hit by the Euro Slash and fell straight down. Seeing this, I hurried forward to help Deathlark up. I knew we had to find a way to break this yo-yo tactic, or we would all die here. So, I pointed to 5 pillars, instructing Ancient Ape to knock them down so she could no longer use the pillars and chains. Upon hearing this, Ancient Ape used the dragon dominance skill and charged at the pillars, which suddenly emitted a red light and rebounded her. These pillars are protected by the red crystal, not only absorbing attacks but also rebounding them. That gorilla just got punched by her own fist. It turned out the pillars had protection, so it seemed they would have to face her head-on. However, as I stood with Ancient Ape and Deathlark confronting the spinning shadow monster, Wolverine used Star Slash on a pillar. Accompanied by a loud noise, he was rebounded by the blade's force and sent flying. It's useless. You can't possibly cut through these pillars. There's nothing here that can't be cut. No matter how sturdy, there's always a breaking point. Saying this, he leaped and used his strongest skill, Starshine Slash, at the pillars. Accompanied by a loud bang, the powerful rebound force immediately sent him flying again. Seeing Wolverine injured, the others and I urgently told him to stop. We rushed forward. "Brother Wolf, stop chopping. Let's think of another way." But Wolverine stood up again and said solemnly, "Don't stop me. As a swordsman, if there is an opponent I cannot cut through, it only means my training is insufficient." Then, he leaped again. "I am the sword, and the sword is me. Only with unity between the sword and the self can all things in the world be cut. Let this stone pillar be the whetstone on my path of training." He then poured his life into his sword and executed his most powerful secret technique, Starshine Slash. However, the greater his attack, the larger the rebound. With a loud crash, he fell heavily to the ground. As the dust settled, Wolverine did not get up again, but remained unconscious. At that moment, seeing the still intact stone pillar, the spinning shadow monster sneered, "This stupid wolf is such a fool." But as soon as her words ended, with a crack, the energy protecting the pillar suddenly shattered, and the stone pillar split in two and collapsed with a loud crash. Seeing this, the spinning shadow monster was completely dumbfounded, and we were also shocked. Just then, Ape's sister shouted, "Brother Wolf succeeded. Now it's my turn." With that, she charged at another stone pillar with her dragon domination skill, punching directly at the red energy. Even though the rebound force injured her and made her spit red fluid, she still smiled. "Ha, this energy is nothing." She kept punching the pillar, spitting red fluid but not backing down. Deathlark, seeing all this, though feeling that these two were insane, still shed her feathers and shot into the air. Transforming into hurricane form, she said, "Ugly dragon, it's up to you to handle the spinning shadow monster. I'm going to get wild with them." Then, she also began relentlessly using her skills on the pillar, injured by the rebound force but not stopping. "You really are madman. Then let me fulfill your wish." The spinning shadow monster retorted and used Spiral Slash at Ape's sister. Just then, I quickly stepped in front of Ape's sister, "Your opponent is me," and charged at the spinning shadow monster with bursting bite. While I and the spinning shadow monster were fighting, Ape's sister was struck by the red energy's rebound force. She was flung back. However, just as Ape's sister hit the ground, the pillar in front of her collapsed with a crash. Seeing this, Ape's sister chuckled, "Dragon brother, I succeeded too." Then she collapsed. Deathlark, seeing this, shouted at me, "Dragon brother, it's all up to you now. If you don't kill the spinning shadow monster, I won't let you off even as a ghost." After saying this, Deathlark dived towards the pillar below. With a loud crash, she used her body to break the pillar in half. Baz, seeing this, immediately shed painful tears. "These, all because of me." At that moment, I also reached my limit of anger, my eyes emitting red light and my veins bulging. "Don't worry, even if I die, I'll drag this bastard with me."